Karen Read's retrial is officially underway, and here's a recap of day one. Hi, I'm Sydney Rushing. I'm a criminal defense attorney in the state of Michigan. Let's talk about it. The morning started off with the prosecutor giving an opening statement, which lasted approximately 38 minutes long, and it was quite boring and underwhelming, to say the least. It was very bland, it was very meticulous, and I don't think it did a really good job of catching the jury's eye. Alan Jackson then gave the defense's open statement, and it started off strong. There was no collision. There was no collision. There was no collision. Then he ended it by saying she didn't do it. She's not guilty. She's innocent. That's something that defense attorneys do, so that way you hear it 3 times, because if you hear it 3 times, it's more likely to stick in your head. But he did a great job in his opening statement by, I believe, being lively, catching the jury's eye, and pointing out the very big things that they need to be on the look for during this trial. The prosecution then called their first witness, which was paramedic/firefighter Timothy Nuttall. Timothy Nuttall was the first one on the scene, and he said that John was cold to the touch. Paramedics said that you're not unalive until you're warm and unalive. So they'll do resuscitation and saving efforts if your body temp is within a certain limit, which is what they did for John. He said that some more people joined him, started CPR, things of that nature, and then he also saw Karen Read with blood on her face, which he thinks was consistent with giving CPR or mouth to mouth. But most importantly, he remembers Karen saying, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him," 3 times. He also said it was a chaotic scene. Now, what's important is then during cross-examination, Alan Jackson asked him specifically about how many times he had met with the prosecution prior to testifying today to talk about his testimony and to talk about what he was going to say. And he said it was approximately 3 times. 1 time 3 weeks ago, 1 time 2 weeks ago, and yesterday. One thing also to remember about this case is this is a retrial. So anything that was said during the first trial can actually be used as impeachment evidence during this trial. And that is what Jackson essentially did, saying, well, in the first trial, you said it, she only said it 2 times. And here today, you're strong and steadfast on the fact that she said it 3 times. He's like, does your memory get better with time? He also said that John had a puffy coat on, but then later came back and said that he actually wasn't wearing a coat at all. And he was missing a shoe. There was a lot of inconsistencies between his testimony today, between direct and cross, as well as with his prior testimony at the first trial. And then when there was redirect, he stated that Karen actually said, I hit him multiple times, but it was in the background of while he was giving patient care, so he didn't really pay that much attention to it. But all of a sudden now he remembers that she was saying it to other people more times than just the 3 times that he heard her say it. He also said that all the injuries to John were on his right side. Then the defense came through and said, well, you said that he had a black eye on his left eye, right? He said, yes. Well, swelling can migrate from one side to the other, but the defense says, well, would you classify a black eye as an injury? And he goes, yes. And he goes, so he did have injuries to his left side. He goes, yes. So it's another inconsistent thing that they caught him up on. And it's something that's so simple. I have no idea why he didn't just want to answer that straightforward. All in all, I don't think that this is a great start for the prosecution. That was not a very strong witness for them. And it's probably one that I wouldn't have started off with either, because you need to come out strong in this case. Then the prosecutor called their second witness, which was Kerry Roberts. And a lot of the questioning at the start of her testimony, it was so irrelevant. It was a lot of things of, how she knows John. They went to high school together, then they became close friends. But there's a lot of details and a lot of questions being asked about things that had absolutely nothing to do with anything. At this point, it's essentially bolstering John's character, right? He's this great guy. He's loving. He does all these things for everyone else. He buys Reebok shoes with his discount. All a bunch of things that just have no relevance. And honestly, I probably would have objected and said, Judge, there's no relevance to these questions. Let's get to the point. She said she was friendly with Karen Read, but that they weren't friends. The night of the incident, her husband actually went to the bar with John and then came home around 10:30 because of the blizzard. She then received a call at 5 a.m. from Karen being frantic, saying, Carrie, John's unalive. He said Karen said that she drank so much she doesn't remember what happened, and that he never came home. She was frantic. She couldn't find John. Conditions were so bad that Miss Roberts said as they were driving, she was white-knuckling it because the vision was awful. However, she said that then Karen goes, there he is, and took off running towards a mound of snow, but the visibility was bad, right? But she knew right where he was. That's the testimony from Miss Roberts. And the court broke for the day, and the prosecution will continue their questioning of Miss Roberts tomorrow morning. Make sure you're following and check back tomorrow for your next update. And if you did watch the testimony today, what did you think? How do you think that the prosecutor has done so far in opening their case?